Right. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody on Zoom as well. We got a handful of people. Lone Wolf, could you turn the volume down, please? But hello, good day. Thank you for coming to our Fly Safe event. Sounds like everyone on Zoom can hear me, so that's good. As Court mentioned, my name is David Van Quest. I am the outreach coordinator of Truckee Tahoe Airport. I'm also a FAA safety team representative. So if anyone has questions about the wings program, we can talk about that afterwards. But thank you for coming. As I mentioned, this is the Fly Safe program of Truckee Tahoe Airport. For those of you who don't know, an airport's responsibility for safety kind of lies with the pavement and the markings on it and making sure it's all according to FAA standards. That's about the extent to what an airport has to do for safety. So what happens in the sky is up to all of you guys. So as an airport, we were thinking of how we can try to enhance the safety of our skies and our communities. So about last year, we started this Fly Safe program where we're offering continuing education to our local pilots by hosting events like this. Also, if you're a hangar tenant, you can opt in to receive a discount on your rent if you agree to do some form of continuing education program each year, rather than just doing a flight review every other year. We try to incentivize every year. You go out, you either do a phase of wings or you do like a new rating or some kind of simulator training or something like that. So if you're not a hangar tenant, but you do fly here often, we still offer an incentive for you guys. So if you do a phase of wings and you do some training kind of related to Truckee or mountain flying, we'll then pay a CFI for you to fly with them to do your like flying portion of the wing space. So up to $300 to that CFI. So that's the Fly Safe program. I think most of you guys are in it. And if you're not, you can talk to me about how you get involved with that. So thank you. So also part of the Fly Safe program, we do these seminars, but we're going to start hosting flight clinics. The first one that we just finally scheduled just yesterday is for Cirrus pilots. It's with Mountain Line Aviation. That's going to be August 21st through 23rd. There's going to be 3 days available to sign up. I think we're going to be able to do like 9 pilots per day. You're going to get some like ground training and then also go fly with the CFI, entirely paid for by the Truckee Airport if you're one of our kind of local pilots around here, like most are. So that's August 21 to 23 for Cirrus pilots. If you're not a Cirrus pilot, we're also going to be hosting a few other clinics. The next one, I think, is going to be a glider clinic. So if anyone flies gliders, we're going to get that scheduled and announced pretty soon as well. After that, Kevin Sloan is a local CFI. He runs Fly Truckee Tahoe. He's got an office right there. He's agreed to put on a clinic similar to the Cirrus clinic for kind of mountain flying, backcountry style stuff. That he wants to do it kind of later in the fall once his kid goes off to college. I don't know if he's going to college. He's going to school for hockey or something like that. But anyway, so be on the lookout for that. And then lastly, in the fall, we're going to try to have a rep from TBM come and put on a clinic. It's not going to be a flying thing, but it's going to be more of like just an in-house seminar sort of thing about TBMs. And I think the turboprop crowd can get something out of that as well. So be on the lookout for those flight clinics. Speaking of Fly Safe events, our next one, if you saw it up here or you tune in, is going to be August 20th on a Wednesday. It's going to be presented by Larry Finney, our tower manager, hosting the annual Runway Safety Action Team, where we talk about incidents that may have happened here over the last year, trends, and ways that we can help reduce things going forward on our runways and so next month, yeah, August 20th, just the day before the Cirrus Con. So be there. For any of you who follow any of the board of directors stuff that's going on here, the next meeting, it's monthly meeting. It's next Wednesday, 4:30. Same room. Probably not as exciting as these. If anyone has noticed, we've got a new light up on the beacon out there, the rotating beacon. We pulled off the old one that's been like rotating for probably 30, 40 years and replaced it with an LED one. It's like this concise thing. And I saw it the other day and I thought it was like the bracket for the new light, but it's that's it. I still haven't seen it at night yet because the days are so long. But anyway, that thing's gonna be spinning around all night, green and white. If anyone's been following the construction out here, they're digging up the ramp. They're making it deeper, repaving it, and we're actually on schedule and under budget. And this first phase is going to be done hopefully next week. And then they're going to do the whole thing like just next to it going that way. So it's kind of a pain in the butt, but it's going. So hopefully that should be done within a couple of weeks. One thing, I don't know if anyone's heard about this yet, but there's a new thing to be aware of for those of you who fly around here, particularly some CFIs and student pilots. Over at Stampede Reservoir, there's a new operator who's launching paragliders. He's doing it by boat with a like 4 millimeter cord that's like 6,400 feet long. So these paragliders stand on, I think, the island or the shore. The boat goes, they start running, they lift off, and he's going to tell them to like 3,000 AGL. This line is basically invisible. So, and then they're going to release them to soar around. So it's outside of our airspace. We've talked to the operator. Seems like a nice guy. He wants to try to do all his diligence. He's called our tower to notify him. He's going to put up a NOTAM every day that he's doing it. So if you check NOTAMs, you'll see something on there. We only had it once so far last week, and it's a little bit confusing, the NOTAM. It's like just says something about gliders in the area. Larry's raised his hand.
Yeah, it's just also if you just search correctly for notes, it's not going to show up. We're trying to get inside in the truck, inside the Squaw Valley right now. So I'm working with him to get it inside in through the laser station. Get inside the truck. So when you type in truck, that note.
Okay.
They will call us 15 minutes prior to launch, and we will have to put it on the ATIS that there's activity up there at Stanford. In addition to the normal glider, activity will have 2 warnings on the ATIS for that. And then we will also notify pilots via frequency to the airport and out to that area. So you guys can be able to.
Thanks, Larry. So for those on Zoom, if you didn't hear it, I think the NOTAM doesn't even show up for Truckee Airport right now. It shows up for the Squaw Valley VOR. So we're working on getting that showing up at Truckee Airport. It did the other day, but yeah. Anyway, so be on the lookout for that. Like Larry said, they're going to call the tower each day they do it. But kind of a safety hazard to be aware of. I know our student pilots are doing maneuvers at like 3,000 feet. Now they're doing it at 4,000 feet. So, there you go. All right, that's enough of that. How about we raffle off some stuff? So get your tickets out. Forgot to grab the ticket. Okay, raffle time. Good, the first prize, the raffle tonight. It's not too late. All right, we're raffling off a black Truckee Airport last day t-shirt. This one's going too. Lucky winner. 576-282. All right. Here, Curtis got himself a shirt. All right, next one. Fly safe t-shirt. Extra luck. This one's going too. 576-286. There you are. Whoa. Grand prize. This might be a little big on you, but give it to someone that fits or trade. All right, fly safe sweatshirt. It's gonna get cold eventually. This one's going too. 576-294. Yeah. All right, fly safe hats. We got two of them. First one's gonna be this blue one. This one's going to 576-289. All right. Yeah. Okay, the last hat, the last prize of the night. And, it's going to 576-281. Hey, Lone Wolf. Hey, round of applause for Lone Wolf. All right. Well, that's the last of the raffle prizes, but you are dressed up tonight, costumes. And so, as we advertised, we're doing a costume contest. This is the first time we've ever done a costume contest here. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to go, but before I start the contest, I want to introduce Dan Olson is here tonight. Dan, he's a CFI. So for this costume contest, let's make this interesting. Let's make a prize. Let's have a couple hours with a flight instructor. So I was scratching my head. I was looking for a good instructor, and someone told me about this guy, this brilliant instructor, local pilot, good looking man. That dude was on vacation, so I called Dan. Kidding, of course. Dan, when we started doing these fly safe things last year and introducing the wings program, Dan was kind of one of the instructors who sort of latched onto it and understood how to do wings, basically. So he's probably flown more wings flights than any instructor. So of course I called Dan. I said, "Would you like to be the prize tonight?" So Dan Olson is your CFI for those who are in the costume contest. So there you go. Yeah. All right. Let's try this. If you want to enter the costume contest, come on up here right now. Let's get this going. It's going to be, yeah, there you go. Come on up if you're in a costume. Come on. Make me dress up. Get up here. See if this works.
Real playa does.
Yeah, I got that going. Okay, cool. So we got three contestants. Yeah, this is how we're gonna do this. All right. First of all, what's your name?
Jetstream Nomad.
This is Jetstream Nomad. Make some noise for Jetstream Nomad. This is actually our presenter of the night. This is Jim Cavuto, but he goes by
Lone Wolf.
Lone Wolf, everybody. Yeah. And to my left here, this is
Cavu.
This is Cavu, everyone. Cavu. So, if there were more, I was going to have head-to-heads going, but this is just going to be kind of a three-way battle. What we're going to do is I'm going to play some music. We'll go, I don't know, 10 seconds or so. If you've got some funky moves, if you got a dance move or something, let's do that. I'll cut the music. Then it's going to be up to you guys. I'm going to say one at a time. We're going to use the patented fly safe applausometer to figure out who won. So really need you guys to participate in this. You guys understand the rules? All right, indeed. Here we go. Let me see if I get this going right. Sound good? Here we go. All right, guys, clap along. Here we go. Lone Wolf. Cavu. Forget the name. Here we go. Got the pink. All right. All right. All right. First, make some noise for all your contestants up here. Thank you. All right. So, patented fly safe applausometer. First, make some noise for Cavu, everybody. Okay. Your presenter for the night, Lone Wolf. Forget your name. Jetstream Nomad. One more. Let's hear it. We know who won tonight. Jetstream Nomad, everybody. I want to present this to you. A little bit of our very first cosmic contest. Whenever you guys work out when to do this stuff. Well done, Jessica. Thank you. All right. That's enough of that. All right, so let's get on to the reason you guys are all here. I'm gonna try to see if I know how to do this. Share my screen. Pull that up. That's good for those on Zoom and for you guys as well. Burning Man. Some of you have been there. Some of you are going there. Let's see. That looks good. But can anyone just fly there? Should you just get up and go? There's some things you need to know about all this. We're going to learn all about that tonight. So without further ado, please help me introduce your presenter, the headliner for the evening. You may know him as Jim Cavuto. He's a local pilot, but here he goes by Lone Wolf. Lone Wolf, everybody.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let me just ask, how many people here have been to Burning Man? At least once. So there's a good crowd. How many people here have actually flown into Burning Man? Wow. So look at this. Good number of pilots. Okay. So where's my clicker? Thank you. David, thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you all for coming out. Thank you all who are on Zoom. Appreciate you taking the time. So I am the Flight Operations Assistant Manager at 88NV, which is the Black Rock City Municipal Airport. It's the airport that's built every year to serve the Burning Man community. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the organization, how we build the airport, but just some introductory comments. I'm part of the airport management team. Our airport manager is Slayer. This is her third year as manager. She's a great person to work for. Also, HP is the deputy manager of the airport. HP has helped me put a lot of these slides together, so I want to thank him for that. And also with us tonight, we have one of our flight ops leads, and that's Kabu. You met. We also have some volunteers who have either been gifting flights to people, which we appreciate, or have been helping us out on the ramp. So, Will, I want to introduce you and say thank you very much. Who else? Any other volunteers? I'm sorry, your name again? Scott. Sorry, I forgot your name. Scott is the local pilot here and has helped us out last year, and is going to be one of our safety supervisors, among other things, this year. So thanks, Scott. And also James is here. James,
I'm a past volunteer.
Well, and maybe again this year.
I showed up. I had all the early shift. Nobody wanted the 6 a.m. shift.
Okay, so feel free to interrupt me at any point if you have questions, or if there's questions from Zoom, let me know. But just an overview. This year's event, 2025 event, will begin August 21st and goes through Labor Day. So it's a week and a day. It's in the Black Rock Desert, not far from Gerlach, Nevada. We expect about 70,000 people this year. Last year we had over 100 GA planes parked on the ramp. Now this is in addition to the charter flights. Last year we gifted more than 1,000 flights to people who waited in line to get a short flight over the city, over the desert. How many here have done the EAA Young Eagles program? All right, so
Young Eagles.
the Young Eagles, yeah. It's rewarding to be able to share the gift of flight with young kids. Well, we do this to a wider community, and this year we're actually going to have a kids program. So if you're going and you're bringing kids, it's gonna be on Monday as our day. We're gonna give priority to kids. On Wednesday, we're doing a special flight for what's called Mobility Camp. And Mobility Camp are disabled people, one reason or other, and we're going to take them up to the plane. So kids and just general population. And I've been doing this for years. Before I became a staff member at the airport, I was a volunteer for many years and have tried to give back to the community. One thing anyone who's been to Burning Man will tell you is what strikes you as this ethic of gifting. People just want to give you things without any expectation of getting anything in return. And it's kind of contagious. And for me, it's like, well, what can I do? I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't cook very well. But you know what? I got a plane and I can gift people flights. So it really is a gift in itself to be able to gift flights to people who maybe have never flown on a small airplane, or who have, but they want to see their city, the city that emerges out of nothing into a bustling city of 70,000 people. There have been more than one, at least 3 or 4 occasions when someone has come up to me and said, hey, you gifted me a flight 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and it made me want to go get my pilot's license. And that's a reward in and of itself, to know that you've had some kind of influence. So for those of you who are pilots, who are flying in, think about gifting. If you haven't done it, it's really a great way to participate. So let's go into a little detail about Black Rock City. So you can see here that that's the layout of the city. It's designed into its radial streets, and you can see here. This thing have a pointer on everything. Okay, so over here, oops, accidentally advanced. Over here is where the airport community is. So you can see this distance here, this road here, to get from our community to the center of camp, maybe a 5-10 minute bike ride. And pretty much everyone brings a bike. As you can see, the desert's pretty flat, so it's easy to bike around. But this is where we all live. Over here, this is the ramp where most of the GA planes are parked. So my responsibility as the flight ops assistant manager is managing the GA ramp, and those are private pilots like myself who fly in and get. On this side of the airport is where our charters land and park. And if you want, instead of driving in, you wanted to buy a ticket from Reno, from Los Angeles. This year, we're flying from 2 airports in the Bay Area, from Hayward and from San Carlos. Burning Man has an operation called BXA, Burner Express Air, similar to BXB, which is Burner Express Plus. So just like you can buy a bus ticket from Reno or San Francisco, that will take you right into the playa, you can also buy a plane ticket. And those are mostly, what are they, PC-12s, but they land right on the playa and that take you right back. So this video will give you, this is kind of a drone video that so this was taken by a drone, and you can see this is the ramp. You can see GA planes have 70 feet of space, so there's a good amount of space between them. As I say, we had about 100 planes parked there last year, and there is our community. So you see people who are in RVs. You've got people who park, who pitch tent and camp under their wing. I did that for many years before I got the camper. We actually will build the airport from scratch. As you know, the Black Rock Desert is completely empty. Burning Man believes in leave no trace. After the event, there's no trace. I mean, you can fly over and look down, and you might see a little bit of where the runway was or where the streets were, but basically every year we're starting from scratch. Now, that said, Burning Man owns a work ranch not far from the playa. The playa is on government land. It's owned by BLM, the Bureau of Land Management. Burning Man pays big fee to the federal government to use this land, but they also bought property not far away. And so this work branch is where you can see us working on the tower. That's actually the tower that gets lifted up, gets elevated. So that's where our controllers work. We actually have a team of professional air traffic controllers, and you can see we have volunteers who are helping to erect the radio towers that are on there. But we'll actually work on the buildings, a lot of the electronics back in May or June. It'll be at the work camp, and then it gets trucked out to the playa in August. These are some of our professional air traffic controllers. So these are very experienced controllers. They work. Some of them have done Oshkosh, some have done Sun and Fun, some have done Reno Air Races, and it's a team of four. One at any given time, one of them is on tower frequency, the other is on ground frequency. By the way, 88NV is an FAA sanctioned airport. It's on the charts. It's on the charts as a temporary airport. But you will need permission to land if you want to land there. And in fact, because it's a private airport and because the federal government, the BLM, has issued a closure order, nobody's allowed to land without getting permission from us, from the airport. And how do you get permission? Well, you log onto the website, and it's easy to find. It's just airport.burningman.org. And it'll tell you all the steps that you go through if you want to be a pilot to fly in. There's an advisory. How many here have flown into Oshkosh? It's quite an experience, right? So you know that in order to fly into Oshkosh, you have to learn the procedures, the routes, etc. Quite as hectic as Oshkosh, but we have quite a few planes coming in when you combine the charters and the GA flights coming in. So we want you to know what the procedures are. We want you to know which way you fly, how high you fly, what's the speed limits, etc. So we're going to require you to study that, actually take a test, pass the test, then you get permission to land. Now, as it turns out, we have at the airport, in addition to having gifting flights to people, we also have other resources for visitors to the airport. A lot of people who just are curious about aviation. Maybe they've never flown in a small plane, maybe they've thought about getting their license, or maybe they just want to know how's an airport work. It's really, it's really kind of a second life. It's really kind of like a simulation. Anyone who's ever wanted to, and Larry, please no offense, because we know that there's a lot of training that goes into being a controller, but we actually have volunteers who are in the tower on the radio before our professional ATC start work at 8 o'clock in the morning. People start flying at 6:30, and you may be talking to a volunteer who's not a professional controller. Now, they're not allowed to issue clearances. They can just, they're basically unicorns. So they're going to give you advisories. But anyway, we also have a speaker program. And HP, our deputy airport manager, is here last year on the left, giving a talk about some of the technology, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. On the right, many of you know Howard Donner, who was a speaker here a couple months ago. Will also be a speaker again this year. Gave a great talk on survival. What happens if you're having to spend a night outside alone because you had an off-airport landing? So he gave a really good talk about survival equipment and strategies. Now, if you fly into the airport, where do you camp? Well, you have basically two choices. The dork on the right there for many years just pitched a tent under his wing. You get some shade if you have a high wing. If you have a low wing, well, sorry, you don't. But for many years, I did this. And a few years ago, actually, it was just during the pandemic, I picked up this Palomino truck camper that my neighbor knows very well because it's in the building. And so now I have the best of both worlds because I will drive the camper in, go back, get the plane, fly the plane in. Now I got a plane and I got but instead of staying in the tent, which is doable, but it gets hot in the desert. And there's really no air conditioning in the tent. And it gets dusty. so people know that. But people at the airport will either stay in a camper or an RV, or they'll be in a tent. And so there's areas at the airport where people can camp, whether you're a pilot or whether you're a volunteer or whether you're just someone who's interested or, you know, accompanying a pilot. So lots of opportunities. There are many people who just want to come to the airport and camp out because it's about a mile away from the main city, so it's quieter. They can sleep at night. There's a lot of parties, a lot of music going on in center camp. And so, you know, it's kind of an event within an event. The airport, we have our own bar, which is, by the way, highly recommended, 4:30 p.m. Every day. It's open. Just to assure you, we do not start drinking until the flying is over. Okay. And we wait more than 8 hours before we get in the plane again. But we have entertainment, we have a galley. So there's people who just come to the airport and never bother going to the rest of the Burning Man. But of course, there's a lot to see on the playa. Amazing art, sculptures, vehicles that people spend their whole year building. So it's an experience that's highly worth it. I want to talk a little bit about the traffic pattern. So as I mentioned, if you want to fly into Burning Man, you can't just willy-nilly fly in. We want you to understand the patterns, and we actually publish charts that you need to learn. But this video will give you an idea of the airspace, and you can see, now this is not the current, this is from a few years ago. We've kind of staggered the runways a little bit more this year. You can see we have 2 landing strips. We use one strictly for landing and one strictly for takeoffs. Okay, and what that does is it cuts down on the dust. It keeps the runways in better shape. It's really a good strategy. Generally, the prevailing winds favor 2-3 left for landing, 2-3 right for takeoff. But occasionally the winds will shift, and then we're using 5 left and 5 right. But this video will give you an idea.
Pentagon is the no-fly zone over the event. Please don't go in there. The black strips south of the Pentagon are the 2 runways, one for landings, one for takeoffs. The green paths are inbound flights. The red paths are outbound flights. The orange paths are departures to the scenic tour routes, and the purple flight path is for ultralights. Okay, this looks pretty straightforward, right? Well, here's what it looks like without the imaginary guidelines. You can see that if you don't arrive with a strong visualization of the traffic patterns, it can be confusing. And note, this is fully to scale. It's busy. Now I'll walk you through the pattern step by step. Starting on the approach from Gerlach, begin your descent to 7,000. Planes flying less than 120 knots stay to the left, i.e. north of the railroad, and faster traffic stay to the right or south. The big bad charter planes are out there, so keep an eye out. As you near the event, you have the option to fly the scenic pattern before landing. If you go scenic, continue at 7,000 and head for point 1 on the Pentagon. In this tour, we're going to go direct. Slower planes. Establish yourself in the downwind and descend to 5,000. Turn base when abreast Frog Pond and head a bit right of point 5. Faster planes. Continue down the south side of the tracks and descend to 5,500. Turn base a little after Frog Pond when roughly abreast Razorback Mountain, pictured here in the bottom right, and keep an eye out for pilots passing beneath you at 5,000 coming from behind Razorback. And all pilots, remember to check in with the tower and to announce your position as you progress inbound, as you would with any uncontrolled field. Say things like Red Cessna and not your tail number, which is useless to other traffic. And most importantly, don't fly an overly long downwind, any longer than 2 miles, and you'll intercept pilots
Okay, so that gives you an idea. We'll actually have multiple altitudes, right? So we want the slower planes down at 5,500. The faster planes will be up at 6,500. So, you know, staying out of their way. Arriving aircraft coming in at 7,000 and descending. So a lot of thought over the years has gone into this. How can we make it as safe as possible? How can we make it as orderly as possible? And in a moment, I'll talk about some of the technology that HP has put into place. So I'm sure everyone here is familiar with ADS-B. It's a new digital technology that most of us have in our planes. So there's ADS-B out, which is required if you're flying in restricted I mean, and Charlie and Delta, Charlie and Bravo airspace. It's also very valuable to have ADS-B in. ADS-B in will show you who else is flying around you. Well, the other thing that we use ADS-B for is keeping track of who's flying, where they're flying, how fast are they flying, how high are they flying, how close are they to other traffic. And so it gives us the ability, and it gives our tower controllers. We don't have radar at the airport, but we have ADS-B, and they have big displays where in real time they can see. This year, for the first time, we've made it a requirement. You want to fly into 88NB, you must have ADS-B, and it must be turned on. And the reason is it lets our controllers see it's an automated process. So even before you get on the radio to announce that you're coming in to land, we're picking you up on ADS-B, and the software that our deputy airport manager has written automatically grabs that ADS-B information, merges it with our pilot database to see, okay, is this plane in our database? Did this pilot actually take the test? If so, you have permission to land. If not, then ATC is going to tell them, sorry, you're not in our database. You can't land here. So we go to great lengths to keep track of who's flying, how many times have you landed, how many times you've taken off, etc. But we also use this data to detect LLS, loss of separation. And we'll do that in real time, or we'll do that after the fact. And I'll show you some of this in a moment. But we also use it to keep track of how many people are giving flights. What we like to do is reward the pilots who are most generous in gifting flights to attendees. That in the form generally of fuel. So there's fuel allotments. We do have fuel out on the playa. Generally, you have to place your order in advance. And then you can actually fuel up, and we have volunteers who will help with that process. Any questions so far? All right, good. So I was mentioning how ADS-B will help us after the fact determine, are we safe? Are we doing things right? And so this is actual flight data. Now it's not from 2024, I think it's from 2023, but it's actual flight data. And you can see, in addition to this particular aircraft or a couple aircrafts, there's ground vehicles. So we actually will have little locators built into the trucks and some of the ground vehicles, so that we're minimizing conflict. But we will use this data after the event to examine potential loss of separation. And I think we use a definition of 0.3 of a mile and 400 feet, something like that. I don't know if that's standard. Larry, is that a standard definition, or was that arbitrary?
That's on the airspace.
Okay. But at any rate, that's one of the things that we'll use ADS-B for. Now, this is a kind of a conglomerate image of all the flights. So you can see the darker the color, the more frequently that airspace was used, and that's a good thing, right? Because we want people flying consistent patterns. So you can see the dark blue here. So this is basically the departure process. We want people to fly away. There's actually a fiducial here. There's a bend in the road called the apex. Everyone can see it, and that's when you begin your turn, your 180-degree turn, to start your seating. And this blue area here, where you can see that's the clockwise route around the city. Nobody's supposed to be flying over the city. There's a couple skydivers who got permission to do that, but for the most part, you see the darker areas where most of the flight is taking place. So generally, you're going to do a clockwise flight. By the way, the reason clockwise is good is because pilots in the left seat, you want your passenger in the right seat to have the best view of the city, right? So if you're flying clockwise, passenger in the right seat is going to have a great view. And a lot of times people want to look and see where they're camping. Can I see my tent? Can I see my camp? obviously you can see the man, you can see the temple, you can see all the cool pieces of artwork from the air, and it gives people a perspective that you just don't get. You just don't get when you're on the ground, right? But we know that, right? We know that from flying around here, from flying around cool places in the US. Okay, so now what else can we do with this data? Well, we can track who's flown, how many flights, right? But we can also track how many takeoffs, how many landings. You can see here the red and the green are indicators that our volunteers. So in addition to the professional ATC, in the tower we'll have a volunteer who's assisting ATC. Now they'll be handling Unicom. So after a plane is landed, they've been handed off to ground. Ground will hand them off to Unicom. And Unicom is a volunteer position that we call ATC right hand. So they're there to assist ATC, but they're also there to park planes. So when a new airplane comes in to land, ground will turn them over to Unicom. We'll ask, where do you want to park? Are you camping with your plane? You want to be close? You want to be far away? They'll assign a parking spot. And then we will have what's called a follow me. I think most of you are familiar with follow me's do, except at our airport, they're on an e-bike, the big sign that says follow me. And the e-bike will actually escort that plane to the parking spot. And then once they shut down, we have what's called ramp greeters who will come out and greet the arriving pilot and passengers, make sure that you got your ticket. Yeah, okay, you know where you're going. You need help with your luggage, things like that. So we have a whole team of volunteers and a process that's been finely honed and improved upon over the years. But so this is what, those of you who've had experience in a tower, you know about flight strips. Well, on new flight strips, we have a computer display that's automatically recognizing using SV who's coming in. Green means, yeah, we know who it is. You're in the database. You're good. Red means, hey, we're sure about you. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean they're coming into land. It could just be a plane that's flying across, right? We don't.
Question.
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
So if someone wants to fly the scenic route without landing, they still need to be on the list and take the test.
That's a great question, and let me address it this way. So we have it's controlled airspace, and we have control up to 7,000 feet. Now, if someone wants to fly 7,500, 8,000, we can't stop them. It is an MOA, so they hopefully are aware of what it's like to fly in an MOA. But in theory, they don't need permission from us.
Okay.
In practice, we think it'd be a great idea, even if you're not going to land, if all you're going to do is overfly, it would be great.
If they'd like to be at a lower altitude, that's bigger.
If you want to be at a lower altitude in our space, you need to take the test. Now, here's an interesting thing that maybe not everyone knows. Someone asked this question of me before, is what if I just want to fly into the event? I don't want to go buy a ticket and spend a whole week there. I just want to experience the airport. Guess what? We're going to let you do that. But you got to take the test, make sure you understand the procedures, the routes that everyone's flying. But we'll let you do one landing and one takeoff. Actually, we'll let you do two if you're bringing someone in. Let's say, you're bringing in your son or daughter or cousin or whatever. You're just dropping them off. You can do that without a ticket, but you do have to be registered. So go to that website, airport.burningman.org, download the pilot materials, take the test. By the way, this won't happen until August 1st, because we're in the process of revising it. Come August 1st, do all that. You'll get a code. That code gives you permission to land. And guess what? It's going to be in our computer. So as soon as you get close, we're going to know it's you, right? And we're going to welcome you and say, great, you're good to land. Or if you don't want to land, you just want to do the scenic, you can do it. So the answer to the question is yes. But okay, yes.
One or two. Archer, we're going to give rides.
Pilot or not staying.
Nope. No, if you want to give rides, you have to be. We require everyone before they can take passengers up to do a briefing. So in addition to passing the test and getting your code, all right, that gives you permission to land, does not give you permission to take passengers. You want to take passengers? We hope you do. we have briefings every day, 9 a.m. And you're required to sit through one of those briefings. They'll give you a wristband that shows the gate people that, yep, I'm allowed to bring passengers out. Now you're permitted to do scenic flights and hopefully do lots of them. You only have to do that once, but we ask you to sit in on that. That's why. What do we do? We'll go over the rules, the procedures, right? Anything relevant. If there's weather coming in, if there's fires, if there's a missing child, God forbid, things like that could impact operations. There could be a ground stop. You may have heard we had some rain a couple of years ago. Guess what? Nobody, I don't mean just airplanes. I mean cars, bikes, feet. your feet become like, concrete. You try to walk in this mud. So the good news is most of the time there's a rainstorm, it's gone. The playa dries out within an hour or two, and boom, we're good to go. But at any rate, we require the briefing. Once you've done the briefing, we're good to go. All right, any other questions? Okay, so again, going back to what's the result of this? So HP has been keeping track of the data over the years. And in 2023, we saw 76% decrease in the number of loss of separation events. And again, using that arbitrary definition, right? Keep in mind, ADS-B is very good digital technology, but it's not necessarily 100% accurate, right? It's going to have a plus or minus, so I don't know, 100 or 200 feet, but it's an indication, right? And so over time, we collect this data. In 2024, we actually saw an 80% decrease in LOS events compared to the previous year. So it's definitely improving our safety profile. And again, nobody can stand up here and say, oh, we're totally foolproof, we'll never have an accident. But what we can say is we haven't had an accident, we haven't had an incident, an accident, a fatality, a mid-air in 20 years, okay? From year to year, we're getting safer. Look, we know it because it's happened here, it's happened at other things can happen. Our job is to try and minimize the probability that something like that is going to happen. And ADS-B technology has made a huge difference in our ability to minimize that. Why? Because we're able to see those hotspots. We're able to see, okay, who are the planes, the slow planes, the fast planes, and it gives ATC the feedback that they might need to give greater separation. And also it gives us the opportunity, if necessary, to have a chat with these pilots and say, hey, you're supposed to be at 5,500 feet and you were down at 5,000 or you were down at 4,800, and that's not good. So we definitely use that information. This is what the ADS-B hardware looks like. Paul actually built this using a Raspberry Pi. If anyone knows what a Raspberry Pi is, it's a very small, cheap computer. I think it's under $100. It's got a redundant system. So there's two of them in case one goes down. We have the other one, and we've been using this box that sits in the tower since 2019. I mentioned there's also ground vehicles. So by the way, you can see here, you're able to see jets flying over if you want. One time when I was in the tower, I got a call from a United Airlines jet at 35,000 feet. And the pilot said, hey, Burning Man, you're looking good down there. I invited him to come in to land, but I think he had other. Yeah, I'm not sure all the passengers would have been cool with that.
Well, would have been cool.
Yeah. But anyway, so you're not only going to see whoever's flying around, but you're going to see some land-based traffic. This is what these ground vehicle, I think they're called LoRa, something like that. So they're actually like mini ADS-B. It's not actually ADS-B, but it's digital transmitters that are integrated with our ADS-B system. So we'll be able to see them in real time if you're on the ground. Well, that's really important because we have a lot of ground-based vehicles, not just at the airport. Burning Man, the organization, they have, in law enforcement, guess what? The state of Nevada, the Pershing County and Washoe County, they have people out. The federal government has BLM rangers out there. We want them to have one of these trackers because if they're getting near the runways, you would think they should know, hey, don't go near the runway. Sometimes we have to, so we have to look out. So anyone who's on the ground, we try to give them one of these things. And that's what it looks like. I want to share this. This is something we did for the first time last year. One of our pilots, Cece, who is actually an instructor, a mountain flying instructor out of Arizona, outfitted his Cessna 170 with lasers and with pyrotechnics. And we got permission from FAA to do this, but we did a night flight, and this is kind of what it looked like. Black Rock City Airport, he calls it. Sorry?
I have a Zoom question.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, we got a question. Can ADS-B see drones equipped with remote ID? Is there a drone airport where you can take off and land in general? What are the regulations about drones on the fly?
Drones are not allowed on the playa. Now you don't want to be a liar, because I started off this talk. We got special permission for that drone flight. So no one was flying at the time. But basically that drones aren't allowed. And look, drones are great, not in the vicinity of an airport. And Burning Man does not want people flying drones over the city anyway, regardless of the airport. So answer to that is no, sorry. Other questions? Somebody from the in-person audience? No? Okay.
I was going to mention that when CC did that, it was wonderful that they were able to get permission to do that, but he wasn't able to land back at the airport because we had no lights at the field. So,
well, no, that isn't why. We actually had lights at the field.
oh, is that right?
And they were great because before the event, we did some trial runs, right? And he said he could see the runway, no problem. The trouble was that not FAA gave us the go ahead. BLM, who owns the land, said, nope, it's not in your charter. Your charter says no light landings, no night landings within the protected area. So poor CC had to go outside of the protected area, land in this, barren area of playa. Now they brought lights so he could see, but he's remote. This year we got permission, so he'll be able to take off and land at night. A couple of resources for pilots, but also for passengers, right? If you want, you can be listening into tower if you want to hear. Of course, you can do that at most. A lot of people have the app, so you can do this at most airports, but you can do it here. But we also have a webcam. And we have a weather page so that if you're planning to fly in, this obviously isn't current because the event hasn't started yet. But once we are there, which is in a few weeks, we'll have a weather station that's got real-time weather, got forecast. You'll see the wind. You'll see that, and there's also a webcam. Again, this is live. once we arrived there, what do you
That
like?
guy, he never, that airplane was there a long time
Yeah, that was,
after the event.
but,
150s.
but you'll be able to see, current weather and the current conditions. If you're trying to decide, should I take off now? Is there a question in the back?
Yeah, just mentioned the radius. What's the BLM regulations outside? What's the perimeter? Where can you land? That's outside.
There's a closure order. If you go to the airport, you can find the exact coordinates of that closure order. It's at least 5-10 miles, something like that. So yeah, if you're outside the closure order, it's Class G airspace. It is an MOA, but you can land, just like you can land other times of the year, outside of August when we pretty much have exclusive use of that airspace. People land there all the time, right? And just set up a tent or whatever. But during August, nope, you gotta register with us if you want to fly.
So that's Tuesday, September 3rd. So
That's the day after.
that, I mean, the event's, it's not over.
The event is over.
And that guy, he could never get his airplane out of there. I don't know how he,
I think that was the guy with
remember he had the battery.
the dead
They
battery.
were like, go get a couple batteries and I don't know how long that was there, maybe a week it was out there. And it was dust storm after dust storm, that poor airplane was, look at it.
All right, now, passenger resource. So we have lots of passengers. A lot of these people, they'll come at 4:35 in the morning and get in line just to get a 15-20 minute flight over the plus, right? That's how popular it is. And we try to give as many as we can. But we've set up in the waiting area, we call it the scenic tent. There's displays that will show you how many planes are flying, right? But also information on the weather, announcement, airport facts. So HP has built this really cool system. It's just one of several screens, right? Who's flying? Well, this give passengers an idea of how many people are flying, how long they might have to wait. Who's, doesn't say I have a number right now, but there will be we're now flying number, 723.
I'm sorry, I just say crunchy.
All right. We don't have to go into detail. How many people have flown so far? How many people have flown today? How many people are waiting? So you're going to have real-time information. And again, we use AdSpeed to inform the passengers, right? A lot of good information. So I want to end, if I can, with just a personal story. And on the right here is someone you may know. It's my friend, Andy Talbot. Andy was based here in Truckee. In fact, he was in hangar Kilo 12. I don't know who's there now, but Andy owned a Rockwell Commander and flew out of here. Flew his plane into Burning Man. In fact, we met on the playa when he landed, like literally right after I did. I think it was 2015, one of those years, maybe sooner. So we became really good friends. Good tennis player, good golfer, very athletic guy. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, was diagnosed with ALS. And many of you know, ALS is just a terribly debilitating condition. So very rapidly lost most function, had to sell his plane. Basically he's in a wheelchair, he's on a ventilator. But I had a chance to meet up with him over the summer last year. We went to a baseball game, a Giants game in San Francisco, and he was able to come. His wife brought him in the wheelchair, and he isn't able to speak because he's paralyzed, but he has one of those eye tracking devices where you can spell one letter at a time. And he spelled a message to me. He said, I really would like to get a flight over the playa this year. And I didn't know if we could pull it off because it's not just getting him in the plane. He's on a ventilator and, he can't land because of all the dust would interfere with the ventilator, but he wanted to just do an overflight. He wanted to do a scenic flight. So I said, look, I'll do my best. I'll see what I can do. I wasn't able to do it, but there was a pilot based in San Carlos named Jeremy Wade, wonderful guy. He volunteered to fly to Reno, pick up Andy and his wife, put him in the plane, and then I arranged with ATC to clear the airspace so that we could give them exclusive use of the airspace. And then I was able to get anyone who knew him from the years prior to come into the tower and just leave a radio message. He couldn't talk, but he could hear us. So I want to leave you with.
Hey, firm, 226 Tango Mike is with you. 226 Tango Mike, go ahead and proceed to spot 1, maintain 6,500. Traffic will be beneath you at 5,500. And Lone Wolf, are you up?
Lone Wolf is monitoring, and Jeremy, can you confirm that our passenger has a headset on that's working?
Hey, firm, yes, he does, and he can hear us.
Hey, Andy, it's Jim. Welcome home. We miss you, man, and we got some friends here who want to say hi.
Hey Andy, this is Dusty Coyote. Welcome home. I'm glad you could make it out at least a little bit. And
So anyway, we had a whole train of pilots who remembered him and came up and left a message. That was his wife Melanie, who was in the plane with him, and it was a really moving experience, not just for them, but for all of us who were there. So that's basically the talk. I just want to leave you with these parting thoughts. And we're building one of the most exceptional, unique airports in the world. It's the busiest temporary airport. It's the busiest volunteer-run airport. It's the 100th busiest in the U.S. when we're open. Of course, it's the dustiest airport. But we place a priority on using technology to enhance safety and also geeky amazing. So what I'd like to do now is, open it up to questions, but also I want to give an opportunity for some pilots who have been to Burning Man in the past, just to share some of their experiences. So Kevin, I'm going to put you on the spot and just say, hey, you want to just tell us all, what are one or two memorable events that stick out in your mind?
Well, what I have on here, what's left of here is
Come on up so people on Zoom can see.
a previous airline uniform, so it was kind of fun to cut that up. And in aviation, one of the coolest things that you could do for me was to come in and land in 88NV and have your bike in the back, and off you go. For everybody that has flown a bunch and has taken lessons in the past, this is a great opportunity to do a real soft field takeoff and a soft field landing. And it is the real McCoy on what you learned how many years ago. And so that's kind of fun. We have all kinds of different level of pilot skills, and we have professional pilots that come in. And so we take the time to try to, for me, for safety wise, just slow people down and take your time. Good things happen. So that's what we try to promote. And we're doing a little bit of that this year with having some speed restrictions. If you want to go fast, you're at the wrong spot. Everybody's there to enjoy. And so we sit around and talk about better ways that we can make it a little bit safer. But yeah, it is pretty cool. And these people that take people up, they're obsessive about it. I mean, they love sharing their experience, taking people up around the playa and being able to take their general aviation and using it to the extreme day after day after day, gifting flights. And that's kind of cool being a part of that.
Thank you. By the way, he's a humble guy. Kevu here is a commercial airline pilot. I won't say which airline, but he flies 777s.
350 actually.
Oh, I'm sorry, 350s, international flights. And he works for me, some dorky 172 pilot. That can only happen.
No,
That can only happen.
Flying small airplanes is a lot tougher than flying big aircraft. I mean, you're limited in the amount of energy that you have. We're used to flying here at Truckee. That's hot and high, but people that come from other places that will be landing at Burning Man. I mean, that's 4,000 feet, and it gets hot, it gets dusty, and it's good for skill building. And one of the common questions that people ask me is, I own an airplane. Why would I bring it to Burning Man? Who's thinking that? And the playa is. I don't think it's corrosive. It's abrasive. And so when you have your airplane there, when they finally get it home, you get vinegar and some soapy water, and you wash it once and you wash it again, and change the filters, and you'll see a little bit of sediment if you've been out there flying. And we've seen jets coming in there. We got great video of jets coming in there. For the most part, if you have a really, really
By the way,
fancy,
jet, we had one jet. We're trying to dispel the notion.
oh, there's jets coming
Burning
in.
Man is for the jet set, okay?
And so
We had one jet, it was a PC-20.
So for the people that are really worried about their airplanes, what causes a lot of the dust is leaving it there overnight, because traditionally there's going to be sandstorms. So if you come in and you drop somebody off or whatever you're doing and get out of there, you know, besides kind of washing the tires and just giving it a wash, I don't think it's a big deal. It's when the airplanes sit there overnight that people will tape up their windows and do all kinds of other things to try to prevent dust from getting in it. But these people allow dusty, stinky burners to come in and give them rides all day long. And that's kind of the cool thing about Burning Man is that, you know, they try to let anything goes, you know, in regards to safety. So when somebody comes up to us and said, hey, what about a glider? What about a tethered this or something? You know, the organization goes, well, let's think about it. You know, so they have a big scope of allowing people to kind of one of the cool things is there's skydivers that jump at night.
Yep, we'll be doing a night
they're nuts.
jump.
But they jump at night and they jump right into the city at night, and they have a light on the playa to land on.
But you gotta have a ticket. Don't think you can jump in without a ticket.
It used to be a long time ago.
We're not gonna go.
No, it's good. It's
Thanks.
cool. It's a cool thing to do.
Yeah, by the way, my technique, my set 172 has been to the playa over a dozen times. So I have, you know, pretty much every vintage of playa dust in my plane. And for those of you who've been in my plane, you know, maybe you've seen it, but my technique, you know, I'll come back, you do a general rinse first. Then you'll do the vinegar wash. So you dilute the vinegar, sponge down the plane, then you do another rinse, then you do a regular wash, and then you do a rinse. And that gets most of the problem with playa dust is you can't just wash it off because it'll just move around, right? If you use some vinegar, which is basic, acidic, sorry. Playa dust is alkaline. They neutralize each other, and now you can get that playa dust off. Getting the interior, you know, try the same thing, and I do, with a sponge and a vacuum cleaner. You're not going to get all of it out, but people who drive in will tell you the same thing about their car. Yeah, you're going to have some memories. That's just there. But to me, it's worth it.
What has your mechanic ever said to you over the years? When you've done an annual, has he ever?
So generally, I use Sierra Aero up here, and Jeff had a technique. I don't know if this is recommended, but his technique was to open the car, wash the engine with gasoline, and he would do that. Obviously, we would change out the air filter. You know, that's, by the way, a good thing to do, right? And then we would do the oil change and do an annual if it worked out that way. But you know, different people have different techniques.
What's the Zoom question?
All right, let's hear the Zoom question.
So Shay has a question. It says, any recommendations about heating or removing wheel cans?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay. In fact, one year, do you remember this? There was a code word that you needed. We don't use code words anymore. The code word you needed to land.
Fresh and clean, or
No,
down
no.
and dirty.
No, the code word was hands off. Okay, so the recommendation is if you can take the wheel pants off, it's just, I did it, and by the way, I have yet to see a speed penalty for taking off my wheel pants. They're sitting in my hangar. They look great, but in terms of performance, I've yet to see any performance in.
Their other question is, do you need to bring your own acres with tie downs?
Yes, you do need to bring your own tie downs. Now, in the past, what people did was each rebar, construction rebar, and pound it with a sledgehammer, and it took a lot of effort to do that. Nowadays, what people are doing are lag bolts, 12 or 18-inch lag bolts with an impact driver. Take them into the playa surface in 30 seconds, and boom, and then you attach, some chain to it. Now your tie-down ropes have a good anchor. I've never had a problem, even with winds 60, 70 miles per hour. Some people buy a commercial product. There's the claw, there's fly. I love people use fly ties. Those work well. but definitely either rebar or preferably black bolts with an impact driver. And we have people that will help you if you've never done it, but you should bring your own titles. All right, anyone else? Will, anything you wanted to say about your first experience last year? Well,
So, I camped out and, everybody was very helpful. I did do the, donated some flights. I had a couple from, Switzerland and Morocco. And had another, three people, two Ukrainians and Russian, all went up together. And there was a art exhibit that we did, the Ukrainians and area is just basic people all around the world.
great.
I would recommend.
Did anything interesting ever happen in the back seat? Well, never mind. We're not gonna. Scott, anything you wanted to share from your experience?
I was gonna, jump on that, he was 5 days, and that was particularly, I flew Caitlin County.
Oh, cool.
Busting is small, so busting down to 2 by 2. I remember so, yeah, just a good vibe, great people. I really enjoyed it. The pros, the talent, those guys, they definitely got to be here. At one point, I've had on kind of 14 events. So it's great to be able to.
Cool. Thanks, Scott. And you had a question?
Pretty much answered. I was gonna ask how busy it gets during times.
Yeah, so during peak times, it can get very busy, but ATC will separate out the planes, but generally it's not out of the question that you could have, at any given time, 8, 9 planes in the air at the same time. Keep in mind, we also have ultralights. They fly at a lower altitude. They're at 500 feet off the deck.
That tower guy used to.
If someone else had a question, yeah, go ahead.
Longer than runways.
Our runways nominally are between 5,500 and 6,000 feet, but we like to tell people it's really miles long, because if you want to run, guess what? You got nothing but empty platforms. Might not be, we actually have crews that come out and water them. We not only roll the pot, they'll come out and water it, so it's good at front. But ready, roll it, we roll it and water it, yeah. The runways are generally in really good shape. Now, towards the end of the week, guess what? Threshold, especially when you have heavy on it, it's going to get torn up. Especially what we do in small planes. We land long, right? We land at the midpoint. We don't need 6,000 feet of excitement, right? But God forbid, if you get overrun, you've got plenty of flat space. So that's the beauty about it. We've had one of the pilots you heard on the West Radio call, Justin Coyote, who's based here in Truckee, he had an engine failure. Came in, did a belly landing, but nobody was hurt. Right? Obviously, that's some repairs that get done. But in that sense, there's not a lot of obstructions. So even if he hadn't been able to make the runway, he would have been able to put down a flat, safe area. There's miles and miles of place to put down. The trickier part can sometimes be the taxiways. Now, we do try and keep the taxiways in good shape, but you have to be watching for soft spots, right? Soft spots where if you don't, generally you want to keep back pressure. So when you're taxiing or even on your roll, you don't want your nose wheel to dig into the surface. So soft bait techniques, but especially on the taxi, keep the nose wheel off the ground. Because if you get stuck, you could need to go out. People will get on the radio, people will come out and push you out. I've got stuff. It's embarrassing. Yeah, it could happen.
Well, we've got something from Melanie in the chat.
Okay.
So Steve, which said, let me get a minute. Andy has a little something to say.
Okay, so Andy is my friend that we took for the flight, and I would love to hear what Andy has to say. Cool.
We're looking at the chat, there's no handouts.
Yeah, Melanie and Andy are.
So,
Yeah, that would be great if we could let Melanie speak.
yeah. Big full screen.
They have the ability to keep it out.
I think I canceled
Yeah, you
that.
can unmute them.
They can unmute themselves now, it looks like. All right, hang on, now they can. Try that. So Melanie, if you could hear us, I think you can unmute yourself now.
Thank you, Lone Wolf. I've missed the playa and the community. It is such a great experience. I recommend it to everyone.
That's great.
And Andy?
That's it.
Yeah.
But thank you, Andy. I really appreciate that.
Andy. So
It was,
join us.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Melanie.
Thanks.
Hey, Lone Wolf, I'm gonna throw you under the bus.
Uh-oh. Okay.
And I think these people appreciate your experience last year with our friends from the FAA.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, you want me to tell it?
No.
So it's kind of fun. We're gifting rides, and depending on your core group of people, you can even lend your airplane to somebody that you trust to gift some rides. And it's interesting that we always have the FAA come out and make sure that we're doing everything that we need to do, and the pilots are doing everything that they need to do. And for the most part, they want to check your documents. One of the things that's kind of cool that some people at Burning Man forget to do is actually have their ID with them. So you get your aero, with your documents with your airplane, but you also need to have an ID as you get ramp checked. And so our friend here at LW lent his airplane to a friend, and the friend got ramp checked. So as an owner and operator of an airplane, you're certainly going to make sure your documents are in there and you know where they are. But when you borrow somebody's airplane, you might not be so keen to check the documents. And sure enough, he got ramp checked. And his friend that borrowed the airplane in the FAA, nobody could find the airworthy certificate. And so we're all freaking out, and figuring it's the end of the world. And I've never seen this in an airplane, but you have your little plastic little viewer ports. Well, this airplane had two, which I've never seen that before. But the airworthy certificate was just in a different little spot, and it all got worked out in the end. He had his documents. But if you ever borrow somebody's airplane, it might be not a bad idea to make sure they have their documents, because if they don't, and you're the one that's flying it, I think you're the one that gets
yeah, without an air, that plane would have been grounded without the airworthy certificate. Fortunately, it was there. It was there the whole time. Some other pilot happened to. Oh, it's right there. It's right there. It's really nice change. I think
Steve borrowed mine.
I think you lent your plane out as well, and that's really important. Whether you're renting a plane or borrowing a plane, pretend it's a check ride. Go through all the things that you would do on a check ride, because the FAA, I mean, they're pretty good. They're not out there to bust people. In fact, they enjoy the experience as well. They take part in a lot of the festivities. But they do ramp checks, and they're going to want to see your pilot certificate. They're going to want to see your medical, unless you're basic med. They're going to want to see your aero. They're going to see, your registration and your airworthiness certificate. So check that. And we tell people, we're telling people this year, hey, most people don't need. There's no money at Burning Man, so who carries their wallet, right? They leave it in their car, they leave it in their tent, what have you. Well, maybe consider leaving it in your plane. Lock it up, but keep it in your plane. That way, you'll always have your certificate and your photo. You gotta have a photo ID as well, right? All right.
We got another question on Zoom, but first, can you tell us just general weather of what it's like flying in there?
Well, it's the mountains and it's the desert. So you're going to get the variability that comes with mountain weather and that comes with desert weather. You're going to have hot days, generally, more often than not. You're going to have beautiful days with calm air and blue skies. And you're just going to look up at the terrain and say, wow, we are so lucky to be here. And it's those moments that you'll never forget. But then there's gonna be moments where the wind is really howling and there's a dust storm. There's gonna be moments where there could be a thunderstorm or rain. And guess what? That's a good time to get inside, right? And hunker down in your camper and your tent and a vehicle. There's lots of buildings that you can go in. The most important rule about Burning Man is make sure you got a cup. Because if you have a cup, you can pretty much get a drink anywhere, assuming you're over 21. Pretty much wherever you go, if you find yourself in a dust storm or in a rainstorm, you can find a place to shelter and have a drink. Unless you're flying, then you gotta wait 8 months. Okay.
Yeah, the question is since it's BLM land, is the runway still available for landing after the event is over?
Well, after the closure, so BLM gives us a buffer of a few weeks before the event and a few weeks after the event. So I think it's mid-September after.
Yeah, it's a month.
It could be a month.
Yeah, it's a long time.
So it's 4 weeks before and after. So after the closure order is done, yeah, you go back and do whatever you used to do.
Aviation wise, this is kind of a cool thing that a lot of pilots would not maybe think about, having to have an alternate going to a beautiful VFR airport and not thinking about anything. Hey, I'm going to have enough gas, I'll have my 45 minutes. But you could be flying into Burning Man and all of a sudden there's a dust storm. And so even if you're doing scenic flights, myself particularly, I encourage everybody to have enough gas to get to Winnemucca and 45 minutes anytime you're flying around there. So even though it's beautiful VFR, something could happen, the airport could close, and you need to be able to always be able to get out of there and not end up landing someplace. And if you do land someplace, another thing about Burning Man is also carrying water anytime you're flying over the desert, because if you do an off-port landing, that could mean the difference of being able to survive or not survive.
Great. I think there's maybe time for one more question. Lee Golden, are you on? Do you have anything you wanted to add? Don't see him.
No, he's in there.
He's in there?
Yeah.
You get it.
Lee has been to the playa many times.
He lent me these goggles. Thanks, Lee. All right, well, Airport's Flight Safety Program, LoneWolf, want to present to you. You're the one raffle, we get to take this home anyway.
And I get to give this to one of my children.
You can gift it. It's not as cool as your single feather ear thingy, but anyway, LoneWolf is going to stick around for the show as well as myself. But another round of applause for LoneWolf. Thank you all for coming out, and good night. We'll be around. Get your stuff in the dirty dishes bin, and thanks for everyone who came on Zoom. We'll see you around.
Thanks, Dave.
Good job.